Hello, friends. It's PHNX Cardinals live on a Wednesday. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. What's up to everybody in the chat as this team limps along here as we enter week 6 and kind of duct taping this roster? We're going to talk about that. But of course, Brack, the biggest absence to date with the Arizona Cardinals remains their franchise quarterback. And I know we're looking ahead to the LA Rams this weekend, but I mean, like, we're in what, week 6 now? It's the middle of the week. Why hasn't Kyler Murray been activated off PUP? What's going on? It feels like poor Jonathan Gannon's asked that question every other day. You can tell he's sick of it. But
right.
What say you? What's going on with K1?
I mean, you can see every kind of recycled, repackaged sound clip, video clip of Kyler Murray and answers about Kyler Murray and any kind of speculation on Kyler Murray. And you're going to come down to he'll be back when he's back. And that's what Jonathan Gannon has maintained. And it's just a waiting game. And I know people are excited. They can't wait any longer, but it's something that you're going to have to ride out as far as patience goes. For a franchise quarterback who just signed a huge $230.5 million extension coming off a major knee injury, just going to have to be patient with it. I mean, that's especially when a team is 1-4 on the season. I think that it's important to take that to note, but that was never the play. Like, it seems like they had a timetable in place and it continues to be the status quo, and it hasn't moved either direction. They haven't tried to expedite it, and they haven't tried to maybe push it with Kyler Murray. It remains the same. It really feels like that.
Well, what we've been told on this podcast is they want to give Kyler Murray 2 weeks of preparation in practice to get him ready for the subsequent game that he plays. So hypothetically, had he been activated immediately coming off a PUP last week, whenever that was, with an eye set to play against the LA Rams, that, of course, that didn't happen. So again, this week, had he been activated, would have been an eye towards Seattle. So every week that you speculate that he could come off of the PUP list, you then have to turn around and say he needs those 2 full weeks of preparation to get ready for that game. I know that you've talked about it, Bo, many times, the 21-day window to activate him. I've been told by people I trust the Cardinals would like to get Kyler Murray 2 weeks of practice, barring something unforeseen, he'll play that subsequent Sunday. So if we're putting our tinfoil hat on, tinfoil Johnny here, I wonder if the idea for this team right now, because they're very encouraged with where he's at, no setbacks have occurred. Josh Dobbs came back to earth a little bit last week, of course, against Cincinnati. If he's activated immediately following the game or come Monday with an eye to practice next week, that would put your sights on week 8, the next home game that they have, albeit against a difficult opponent, not unbeatable, in the Baltimore Ravens. So if I had to guess right now, optimistically speaking, I would say probably a decent chance he comes back and plays against Baltimore. Now, people can speculate. We've seen people in this media market say they're going to wait till November. I mean, that to me, if we get to a point where it's past Halloween and Kyler Murray's not back taking snaps on Sunday for this team, with each passing week, I know that you want to be consistent with your mindset of making sure he's healthy, Brack, but you're also going to give yourself a very small margin for error with this team in vetting him enough to know whether or not he's the guy next year. And, we talked about it on our draft show. It's like Cardinals right now have picked like 7 and pick 11 or whatever it is, pick 10. But it's like if we push this out any further, right? And even though Gannon's been on the record multiple times as saying he thinks a big chunk of the season they're going to have Kyler Murray, well, week 8's like the midpoint. So anything after that, you get a sample size that's not great. And I love K1, and I know that he's been bought in this offseason, but you need tangible evidence for this franchise to pick up the tab $45-50 million next year. Do you not?
No, you do. And, it also takes away, I guess, the level of I guess, the game, right? The games that are left on the schedule. I mean, if he's playing half the season of a lost season, what are the expectations going to be? As far as the people, I expect this roster to show up each and every Sunday, no doubt about it. But if they're sitting there and he comes back week 9, let's say against maybe the Cleveland Browns, and they're 1-7. I think that it's there's not a whole lot for the team to play for. Hopefully it's a good stage. I feel like 8 games you can see enough from Kyler Murray, but at the same time, like, we've seen players come on for lost seasons for teams before. We see Devin Booker. He's done it a lot for the Suns before they really kind of found their stride. Are you going to get a true taste and full sample of what Kyler Murray would look like under Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and with this new look Arizona Cardinals team?
Well, my question though is, I get it, lost season, right? 1 or 2 wins before he comes back. If they're picking up the tab as it relates to, okay, when he comes back, like for 2024, they're going to have to know whether or not he's the guy. Like, we believe he's the guy. We want him to be the guy. We don't want to have to talk ourselves into Bo Nix or Michael Penix or Drake May or somebody like that. But like, in all actuality, like, they have to go into that press conference in January, Ossenfort and Gannon on a united front, and basically say, Kyler Murray's our guy. We've seen enough. And outside of like a half a season trending upward, being better than Joshua Dobbs, like, I don't know how they're going to say that. There are people in this media market that are speculating that he won't be back. The conversations won't start until November, which is ridiculous. If you get to that point and you're saddled with a top, let's say 1 to 3 pick, Bo Brack, and like, then it feeds into the narrative of like, why bring him back at all? We were having these conversations in like June and July. Like, and Josh Dobbs has kind of thrown water on it because we've gotten, average to above average quarterback play on Sunday, which has been a nice surprise. But like, it's also really naive to think like, were they going to trot out Colt McCoy for half a season and try to figure it out on the fly with Colt McCoy and Clayton Tune? For me, it feels like at the end of the day, this franchise, we're on I know everybody's saying be patient, and I want to be patient for Kyler Murray and his recovery timeline. The Cardinals, though, can they be patient past October? I don't think they can. Like, this franchise wants it to work out with Kyler. They didn't draft him and they didn't pay him this money. And you have to have a huge sample size, in my opinion, which is at least half the season, to cut a check like that. It's all about the money. I don't like Kyler Murray is better than any rookie you're going to draft next year. And you can't convince me otherwise. But what you're doing is you're projecting, right? This franchise told D-Hop to leave for $21 million. They got rid of Isaiah Simmons for pennies on the dollar. Everything matters with fit and money. And if you have like 5 games of Kyler Murray or 6 games of Kyler Murray, and then you have to decide, are we going to keep this up or are we going to move him? Like, it's a very difficult decision for them. Like, once upon a time when I thought he was coming back in like late September, early October, I'm like, plenty of time. But man, like, if you talk November, predicting him to come back like after Halloween, I don't know if there's enough time for them to make that decision. Am I wrong?
I think that's a little too.
Damon, pull up the calendar.
I mean, that's 2 full months. I mean, the NFL schedule now stretches, obviously fully through November and through December. You've got your bye week mix in December, and then you've got, 2 games and basically 2 games in January. I mean, look, if he comes back in the first week of November, say he plays week 9 against the Browns. I mean, look at that. That's a long enough stretch. That's 8 games. That's more than enough. And for him to pick up Drew Petzing's system, for Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon to make the evaluation, and you also have to keep in mind the messaging around Kyler Murray from this organization. And I don't think that this is not an organization that just says shit to say it, right? That Jonathan Gannon said that this was an attractive job because it had a franchise quarterback, and that Monti Ossenfort, one of the main reasons he was hired as a general manager was to build around a player like Kyler Murray, right? But I do believe that this organization is in a position to pivot any direction this offseason, the way they've set up as far as their cap goes. That's why a guy like D-Hop was a casualty, right? That they didn't want to stretch that beyond 2023. But Kyler Murray, like, I mean, I understand the impatience because you want, like, anytime any season's played and Kyler Murray's on your roster, you want to see him out there on the playing field. Everybody wants that. Like, it's the best option usually. It's been the best option. It's been the best homegrown option, and the electricity that he brings on the field week in and week out, it's tough to match, right? So you got to match that with also, I think where the impatience comes in is this kind of this insecurity that, like, if we don't figure something out, that there's going to be so many more questions left unanswered going into the offseason, where I still think, like, if they are as cautious as possible and get him back in November, that they're still going to have an ability, especially this staff, to scout him enough. So especially when they couple with what's already been on tape with Kyler Murray to make a decision on him, because it's going to have to be a quick decision. Like, after the final whistle blows on the Cardinals regular season, that's when they have to start moving to, okay, this is going to be our plan to build around Kyler, or this is going to be our plan to move off of Kyler.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but I'm also talking about, in generalities of team is struggling. Team, you mentioned it. You get to November, lost season, right? People are very much moved on to the prospect of having multiple top picks and next April's draft. We're kind of teasing it already. And then you're like, well, yeah, we got to get Kyler out there to see what we have. I don't know, man. Like you mentioned on the schedule, like Cleveland, that's 8 games. I feel like that's the cutoff for me. Like if I'm Monti Ossenfort and company, like,
but why? I mean, I don't know why, like, we would create this, like, draw this line in the sand.
6 games when a team maybe has like 2 to 3 wins, maybe they have 4 wins at that time. I don't know. You think that's enough time?
Yeah,
because you think 6 games, you could do it with 6. You could evaluate somebody on whether or not to pay them $45-50 million next year over 6 games, instead of, okay, we'll just play Joshua Dobbs and we'll get a quarterback in April. Because
but
again,
they get eyes on him in the practice, on the field.
Well, that hasn't started yet,
but they will.
Okay,
I mean, they're going to get, if worst case 6 games, right? If they get him on the field 2 weeks before that, 3 weeks before that, I mean, they're going to get they've already got him in the classroom, right? They've already got him during film sessions. They've already got him in the quarterback room. They've got him in the weight room right now. They've got him rehabbing with Buddy Morris, and they like everything that they've seen. So now, like, I think the next step, obviously, is to go from being cleared medically, being designated to return, getting back on the practice field, seeing what he looks like on the grass, hopefully getting him back on the playing field, and then making that's the final evaluation of this. And, as much as, you see a team that has 1 win and a guy that can elevate a team, like, that plays into it. You can't just kind of get carried away with it. So I think that just being excited about seeing Kyler Murray play football again plays a huge role in this, and you can't be discounted to where ultimately he's not going to be able to play until he's cleared medically. And the patience of that is ultimately, if he comes back and he's damaged goods, you can't go anywhere with him.
Well, yeah, you can't move off of him. You can't feel good about next year if he re-injures himself. And, this podcast will tell you definitively, Gannon's infatuated with Kyler Murray. Yeah. So, like, I am playing devil's advocate here because I think it's healthy to talk about this kind of thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, Jonathan Gannon, everything you see is authentic with him. He's a huge Kyler Murray fan, and he believes that his success long-term here is tied to number 1, right? But I also think we have to talk about the 800-pound elephant in the room is the contract, right? And it's not like Daniel Jones money, thankfully, where that just kicks in, or you talk about like the Denver Broncos who are screwed with Russell Wilson. His money hasn't kicked in yet, but it is something of substance. And the quickest way, and we've seen this for franchises to turn it around, is get a guy on a rookie deal and you flush the roster and you build around them and you draft and develop well, which is what Keim was the key ingredient he was missing. So
yeah,
they have to be convinced, like, we can supplement the roster with other key pieces that are not high price free agents. And they've already done that. So I'll give them credit. But, at the end of the day, me personally think it would be difficult to evaluate somebody before making a decision like that without half a season of a sample size. Like, you and I were talking off air, like, to try to do like the tush push and short yardage. No James Conner now. How are you doing that with Kyler Murray? Like that, you're not going to be able to do that. Like,
why?
But just little elements like that. You're going to try that with Kyler Murray to be under.
I mean, how tall is Jalen Hurts? 6'1"?
Yeah, dude squats like 1,200 pounds.
Kyler Murray's stout.
You think
Kyler Murray's got strong?
I'll bet you right now. We'll make a bet right now. 12-pack of Four Peaks beer.
Okay.
That they will never try the tush push with Kyler Murray.
I will take that bet right now.
No,
that's a dub. That is an easy Bo dub right now. This chat, by the way, let's go up a little bit here
You guys
on
are
the chat,
crushing
because
it.
I saw a couple things. Cards Universe saying he agrees with you, Johnny. Step Penn is saying
It
you're
was great.
delusional.
Somebody called me
Let's roll back
delusional,
down
and then
here.
somebody said they agree with me. That's the best part about this show, man.
Yeah, Jack Smith. Jack, Caleb's dad won't let him play in AZ. It's a moot point. Look, do you remember when you were 18, 19, 20 years old? Would you listen to your father as far as him making your career decisions at that point in your life? Like Caleb Williams' dad, Carl Williams, isn't deciding where he's going or where he's not going.
Our chat rules. Blaine in the chat. Pay him now, Bo. Ben, Johnny, buy the beer now. I mean, I do think that Austin saying Johnny is right here. Like, it's split on this, and that's why I think it's healthy and
How
worth
tiny
discussing.
do you think he is? You think the other option is just like catapult him over the line? Like, is that the next push?
Put Trey McBride under center and do it with Trey McBride.
I think that's a great idea. Strategy-wise,
that's fine.
Drew Petzing can call me, and I'll give him some more good ideas.
Kyler Murray I've never seen Kyler Murray under center unless he's taken a snap to end the game.
Guess what? That's happening. Kyler Murray's going to play a lot under center.
To fast forward and be like, tush push, 4th and inches. No, they're not going to do that.
How tiny do you think he is? Like,
I love Kyler Murray.
You're on the Twitter streets too much, where every Kyler Murray tweet turns into, hey, he's short, he likes video games. And you think he's not big enough to do the tush push? That he's probably easier to push from behind to get over the line of scrimmage for the first down.
We got some smart people in the chat. Not Ben. Ben, how dare you? I'll never get a Brock Bowers jersey. Steelos mom, I agree with Johnny. He's nailed it tonight. Nailed it. 8 games minimum for me. If you only play 6 games.
Yeah, I agree with Johnny. Let's hit the panic button. We need to know now.
Panicking. We're having a conversation. I think I'm panicked. Come on. First 2 to 3 will be settling into playing his first game in many months. We better see him. Versus BA. I do think, again, learning curve, rust. Like, I don't know, man. I naively thought, because of how they handled the offseason with Colt McCoy, like, no fucking way they're going to roll with Colt McCoy for half a season. That was clearly, now we're seeing they were going to do that. That was going to be their plan. Then Flight Plan releases stuff, and you've got Hollywood talking, and we're doing shows about ahead of schedule. More AP, Adrian Peterson-esque comeback. And it's like, now people are like, well, maybe November. That's not enough time. That is not enough time. Monti Ossenfort, God love him, is as shrewd as they come. This is somebody that at the end of the day wants to restart the timeline on his roster. Yes, you need a franchise quarterback, but he's got infinite assets. Like, you're going to pay. Brock Purdy's making no money. Geno Smith doesn't make any money. The Rams could be in a position to take a quarterback. Like, you got to be 100% unequivocally sure that he is the right fit for your team. Now, I'm not saying Kyler Murray can't play. He's fantastic. I love Kyler Murray. He's the best homegrown quarterback they've ever had. But for this regime right now, I'm trying to think how they would think. 6 games before you pick up the tab in January? That's asking a lot, man. Gannon's going on local radio saying we're going to get plenty of them. We'll have plenty of time. So, which comes back to my original point.
He hasn't said that just on local radio. I mean, he's maintained that the entire time.
Right. I don't even remember where. But again, like that, if that's the case, plenty of time is half the season. So that clock needs to be Baltimore Ravens at worst.
JG saying we're getting plenty of time. Johnny Venerable, we're not going to have enough time.
We're not going to have it. I don't believe Jonathan Gannon. He's a wily guy. I don't believe him there. He's just shrewd.
You call him a liar? Like,
no, I just think
he's doing that at a competitive advantage.
I think that they are playing it safe here. Gannon and Ossenfort are playing with house money. In my opinion, they've overachieved this year. They've done a phenomenal job, right? Give it even with the record. Like, they're way more competitive than people thought. People thought this team was a joke coming into this year.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're playing with house money and you've got a quarterback that is at least keeping you stable, I need to see Kyler Murray for half a season with Drew Petzing and this team.
I need that. I need no more, no less than 8.5 games from Kyler Murray this season, or they're not going to make a decision because there's not 4 years to tape on Kyler Murray. Jonathan Gannon, he's already expressed that when he even faced him, Kyler Murray, the worst version of Kyler Murray, he faced him last year, his 4th season where he struggled the most. Jonathan Gannon knew how dangerous Kyler Murray is in that Philly game. When he knows what it's like preparing for Kyler Murray. He knows what he is at his peak. All they need to know is if Kyler Murray is going to come back the same in the player that he was before the injury. I think that that's the biggest piece here. If he shows no signs of rust, if he shows like, hey, that this knee issue isn't going to linger and be something that's going to hinder him the rest of his career, like how much time do you need to show that? And I think that that's the important thing, because I think he'll have the ability to pick up a guy's offense in Drew Petzing. We've already seen several quarterbacks, pick up different iterations of this offense from Jacoby Brissett, Joshua Dobbs, Deshaun Watson struggling a little bit, but you've got, I think Kyler Murray, they're confident that between the ears, he's more than capable of picking up what Drew Petzing wants to do offensively.
Of this whole process, not even criticism, has never been about the football IQ and the acumen of Kyler Murray. I think that got thrown under the bus by Michael Bidwell and company, which is really unfortunate because he's super bright, way brighter than he's ever given credit for. This all comes down to timing. Has nothing to do with Kyler Murray's rehab, how hard he's working, like who likes who. It comes down to there are new people involved with this franchise, and they are clearly rebuilding. They doubled down on the 2024 draft, multiple picks. Kyler Murray's not back yet. And the longer you wait, and then the price tag and the intangible of the money factoring into it.
But whose decision is it ultimately to play Kyler? Theirs.
Well,
everybody is saying, like, Jonathan Gannon says, we're going to get him plenty of time. We're going to see Kyler Murray plenty in 2023, right?
What's plenty? Plenty is not
apparently not enough for Johnny Venerable's taste.
It's not.
It's like this organization needs to make a decision. It's like they're well aware of that. Johnny, they know that more than you do. They know that. They're confident that they're going to be able to see enough from Kyler Murray.
Aree's saying plenty is 4 games. Aree, what? 4 games? And then you're going to pay him $50 million? Come on now. Like Blaine Clark.
Regardless, you're going to pay him close to $50 million, whether you're paying him that or you're going to absorb dead cap and trying to send him out of town via trade. Because those are really the only options. I mean, as far as releasing him, that's the worst of all reality.
Amending my thought process. I was thinking K1 was coming back for sure all year, but Johnny's 100% right. If you don't at least try to get 8 games or more, why bother? No chance or reason to waste it. Both can be true. Like Albert Breer, who again can sometimes be hit or miss, is adamant that in about a week and a half, we are going to have the most active trade deadline we've ever had in the NFL, because people are going to start hurling cargo off the ship, off the Pirates of the Caribbean ship, in an effort to tank for these quarterbacks, because these quarterbacks are so highly thought of. And then there's the Cardinals, if they're potentially like 1-7, and it's like, yep, we're getting Kyler's off a pup. We need another week of practice. It's just like, what are we doing now? Like, either he's ready to play a good amount of the season and you can evaluate, or it's just going to be like, here, white flag. Come on now.
Who's waving the white flags? Let's talk about those organizations real quick, because it's important for the context of this.
The Vikings, who are a very viable team, look at potential. They're
they were fraudulent, right? They were fraudulent. Kirk Cousins or Kyler Murray? Like, are you moving off of Kirk Cousins? Probably the decision's been made, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy. That's easy. That's a layup. Denver.
For sure.
Denver.
Yeah.
Clearly. That trash. Remember organizational stability? That's hilarious. They're about to just sell everything at discount prices. They're about because
this situation is so unique. That's why it was such a hard sell for people last offseason to take this job on. It's just like, not only does the roster need reset, like the quarterback is a known commodity, but he's coming off a huge injury and he's got a bunch of money coming his way. Like, these are when new people come in house. Bo and I were just talking about this with the DCU with James Gunn. Like, people wanted their own people. People want their own people. Now, is he going to be the John Cena peacemaker where he gets to say, or are they kicking him to the curb? Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill.
Are you saying that Kyler Murray's Henry Cavill?
That's a pretty good comp right now. Henry Cavill goes on social media, is like, I'm back as Superman. And they're like, actually, Henry, nix that. That's not happening. I would say Kyler Murray is probably maybe like a Jason Momoa. Like, they haven't really decided yet. Is he coming back? He's got another movie coming out. How do we pub up Aquaman 2? But really, it's not part of our future. How do we pub up Kyler Murray? That's insulting.
That's insulting. I mean, Jason Momoa is a terrible actor. Kyler Murray's good at his craft.
Aquaman 1 made $1 billion. Kyler Murray made 2 Pro Bowls. Listen, I'll put a bow on this. I want Kyler Murray to play this year and force the issue. This is the guy, no questions asked. But we get into November and he hasn't played a game yet. Like Johnny's hands are tied. What are we doing here? You keep telling me it's a long season. Practice hasn't started yet. That's why I'm predicting right now he comes off a pup next week.
He's chomping at the bit, man. We've heard that.
He is, yeah.
Hollywood says he's happy. He's content with where he is in his rehab with the training staff. Jonathan Gannon said last week he's got a little, pep in his step. Like, we're on the precipice of a Kyler Murray designation to return. We are. At least return to the practice field and start to gear up for return to the field. Like, if it's drawn out any longer, if we're sitting here at this time next week, and this isn't saying that, actually that's saying a lot. Like, if we're sitting at this point just a week from now and we're still like, when the hell's he coming back? Then I'll start to maybe put your tinfoil hat on my head and say what's going on.
If he's not activated and we do a show next Wednesday, this first segment will be reserved. Everybody mark it. It's going to be appointment YouTube like our show is every day for Bo Brack to eat a little bit of crow. Because then it's just like, oh, okay, bro. Okay, bro, Brock. Let's see what happens. I think he's activated next week, and I think it's a celebratory period for this fan base because they need something to celebrate.
What are you gonna do then? Are you gonna air fry some crow and eat it?
No, because I'm gonna get what I'm asking for. I'm gonna get my buffet plate of half a season. But again, you got people on Twitter saying November.
Oh my God,
that's happening. I'm sorry. Like, I can't. How are you gonna evaluate
people on Twitter?
Games? The Twitter streets, love them. Love the streets, the Twitter streets. Love the gambling streets. How about free cash? Bet 10, get 200 with our friends at BetMGM. Place your first BetMGM sportsbook wager. How about this? Thursday Night Football tomorrow, put a 10 spot. You get 200 back, regardless of what happens. Bonus code PHNX. You like the Cardinals money line this weekend? That's what your heart says, but your brain says otherwise. Bet 10, you get $200 regardless. Plus, you get to keep your winnings if the Cardinals win at plus money. They're a 6-point dog right now. We're going to talk about that later this week. We're going to talk about the practice report with Bo Brack just in a couple minutes. But first, again, bet 10, get 200. How about this? Diamondbacks tonight. Somehow the Dodgers are favored when the Diamondbacks are a freight train from hell right now. Chase Field, the roof's opened up. It's a party at Chase Field. It's a party in your bank account with our friends at BetMGM. Check out the show notes for full details. And now my guy, Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Obviously, living in the Valley of the Sun, protecting your eyes is so important, but also you spend a lot of time looking at screens. Check out some blue blockers as well that they got at ShadyRays.com. They're not just about sunglasses. They're about just protecting your eyes from all the dangers. It's gear built to last. Premium polarized shades. They also have the blue blockers, as I said. They're independent sunglasses company that likes their price point well under $100. It's a world-class product, but not for a world-class price. Sunglasses, durable frames, extremely clear optics for all your outdoor adventures or indoor. If you're just sitting there watching your tablet, watching TV, you got those blue blockers. Shady Rays offers an insane protection program as well. If you break, if you lose your glasses, they're going to replace them basically, no questions asked. Save some coin while you go to ShadyRays.com. Use the promo code PHNX and you'll get 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized sunglasses. You can get it online, ShadyRays.com, or you can go into their Kierland Commons shop and just say, hey, PHNX, and they'll say, hey, crazy person, step away from the sunglasses. No, actually, they'll be like, here's 50% off 2 or more pairs, just like online. They will honor it, just like online. ShadyRays.com. Find out why 250,000 people have rated 5 stars. Shady Rays, premium polarized sunglasses for not a premium price.
I love this, Mikey. Johnny lives on the Twitter streets wearing his tinfoil hat and rose-colored Shady Rays. And then Ben, the Cardinal fan, just giving you a hard time. Listen, this is about having fun. That's what this podcast is all about. Informative, but at the same time, everybody's opinion is welcome here. And again, Just trying to lay out all the scenarios, all the facts with this team. And you guys are the reason this podcast is what it is. So hit that like button. Do us a favor right now. You just serve this as it's an appetizer en route to hopefully Kyler Murray coming back next week. But I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. We were doing the mock draft simulator, not to get off topic, Bo, for a little draft piece we have coming out tomorrow. And it says team needs, for every team, and each team's got like 4 or 5 needs. Those MFers at Pro Football Focus, there's like 7 needs for the Cardinals, and the first one on there is quarterback. So, I mean, it's just like the perception of this team, man. Times are tough. Times are tough on the injury report, Bo Brock. You were at practice today. No James Conner, obviously. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say this. It's a little relieving to see where wide receiver 1, why he was out of practice, Hollywood Brown. Because we went there today. We're in the indoor practice facility. We don't see number 2 out there. Hollywood Brown has been trending in the right direction the last couple of weeks. Scored a couple touchdowns. Obviously had some nice receiving yards games. He's been obviously the top target for Joshua Dobbs. He's in a contract season. Can't stand to miss any time, so you don't see him out there. A little concernicus, but now we see the injury report. So the Rams, they practice a little bit later, Johnny, so we get the injury report. We just got it in, hot off the presses. Here it is, producer Damon Dog. The Cardinals injury report for week 6 against the Rams are Marquise Hollywood Brown did not practice due to illness. So hopefully he's not too sick, but we're not dealing with anything from a hamstring to an ankle to a thumb. Just wasn't feeling well today. So that's why Marquise Hollywood Brown was out. Didn't see anything. Also who was sick was Elijah Higgins. So maybe they just ate at the same place together. I don't know. This is pure speculation there. Jalen Thompson, maybe far more concerning. Our guy JT, safety, hamstring, did not practice. Another safety bitten in the hamstring, just like Budda Baker. Hopefully he doesn't have to miss too much time. We'll see what his status is come tomorrow. Keontae Ingram was back out there today. Running back, he's been limited with a neck. Big opportunity for him. Also important, back out there on the practice field, some beef on the defensive line. Jonathan Ledbetter, that finger was wrapped. He was far more physical today. Looks like he's trending towards playing. Garrett Williams, we'll see how much they ramp him out. Continues to be limited. Dennis Daly, for a second straight day, was a full participant in practice coming off. Looks like I would bet he's activated off IR by the end of this week.
I mean, Cardinals defense it's in shambles. I mean, I don't think Jalen Thompson's playing this week. It's nice that he's not immediately put on injured reserve. I think a lot of us thought maybe that there was a temptation with that, but I think hold your breath. He can play maybe against Seattle or at home the following week against Baltimore. That's good news for the Cardinals. You get Budda Baker back 1 week and then Jalen Thompson back. Start to piecemeal this defense together. But I mean, there's a good chance this is the most undermanned unit that you're going to have all year against the LA Rams. And I don't know how they're gonna pull it off defensively. I think the offense, without James Conner, is going to struggle in the run game, but I still think it's got the pieces in place to put points up against the LA Rams. Cardinals defense, to me, I mean, like Ledbetter coming back's a big deal, and Stills is playing well, and these pass rushers is just a mixed bag of what you're going to get on every Sunday. But the secondary, which was a strength to start the year, no Budda, no Jalen. Marco Wilson is a shell of himself right now. We don't know what the hell's going on with Keitrell Clark, why he barely played last week. Like, that's a confusing situation. The only hope is Gannon's a defensive back savant. You feel immensely confident. The game plan he put together after they got lit up by Daniel Jones with minimal parts defensively, with respect to who they have, they shut down Dak Prescott and held them to 16 points. So, like, could they do something similar this week against, the Niners are a juggernaut. And then the Cardinals caught Cincinnati at a bad time where they were pissed off. Like, Rams are still very mid. This is a mid team. This is a beatable team. What are you making that face for? You're just agreeing
They
with
have 2 legitimate wide receiver threats. Matthew Stafford's played.
Oh, dude's played.
Well, Kyron Williams has run
Poku's
the ball
played
well.
like a cup of coffee in the NFL. Come on now. What's the dude's name?
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua's played like a day in the NFL. I'm not ready to anoint
He's
that.
played at a high level every day he's been in the NFL.
All right. Okay. This is not Jamar. They don't have a Jamar Chase. Cooper Kupp's still coming back from injury. Like, it's doable. But again, back to my original point, like, I'm not looking forward to watching the Cardinal defense this weekend. I think, listen, they're just trying to duct tape this together until they get some players back.
Yeah, they got popsicle sticks and duct tape and crazy glue. They're just trying to figure it out. Yeah. It's gonna be. It could get ugly. They need to have a tremendous game plan. They need people to step up. if they get Ledbetter up in the inside and they can take advantage of maybe it's a rebuilt offensive line. That's what's going on in LA, and it's not even close to where they need to be to truly protect the player like Matthew Stafford at his stage in his career. Like, you make him uncomfortable, and it doesn't matter who you have down the field with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So if you can make him uncomfortable, if you can force some misthrows, misfires from Matthew Stafford, and you can get some interceptions, that's the recipe for success against the Rams. But if you don't show up, if you allow, close to 20 receptions between the two of those wide receivers, just kind of like you gave up 15 catches to Jamar Chase, or you let Christian McCaffrey, the stars of the previous two teams, run rampant, you're going to get your ass kicked again. And it's going to be a tough Sunday. But look, are they vulnerable? Absolutely. I think that they are, but they're a 2-3 team as well. Like, they're an under 500 team as well, but they do also have firepower that if you don't show up, it's going to be rough. And especially with this personnel. So Ledbetter, it's encouraging. The safety position, absolutely got it. You got to wait one more game before Budda Baker's back and ready to go. Hopefully not that much longer for Jalen Thompson. We like what we've seen from Kayvon Wallace. Andres Ochre needs to bounce back after a tough game. You need the corners to step up. You need Marco Wilson to have his best performance of the season. I know. Is it the theory of insanity, definition of insanity? Probably at this point. Talked to Keitrell Clark today. He wouldn't really, he wasn't like pressed on it, but he was asked about it, and he wouldn't really answer, full head on why he only saw 49% of the snaps.
That's a good sign.
So, and Antonio Hamilton wasn't, outside of kind of knocking in and out of the lineup with, he had to go through concussion protocol during the game on Sunday. Like, I thought he played fine.
Alex 499, don't downplay the Rams, Johnny. We did that last week, and a mobile burrow took us out, or took it to us, I should say. I'm not downplaying them, but what I've seen though is a stark reverse with a lot of people in this fan base basically saying like, we're gonna get blown out by the Rams with Cooper Kupp and Puka and Matthew Stafford, and I'm like, sure, that could happen, but Cardinals can also beat the Rams. This is not an unbeatable team. I think at the end of the year they're gonna win 6-7 games. The Bears just beat the Commanders, who beat the Cardinals. And we feel like the Cardinals a week later probably could have beaten the Commanders. I think the Cardinals are a part of a group of about 10 teams in the NFL that are pretty interchangeable, assuming that they have their parts and pieces. Now, the Cardinals are missing players. The Rams, I think, are pretty vanilla in their back seven. For me, it's just, the Niners, we knew what they were. In my opinion, they're the best team in the league. The Cardinals beat the Cowboys. They could conceivably beat the LA Rams this weekend. That's all I'm saying. Do I expect them to? We're going to talk about it on Friday's preview show. But they're a 6-point dog for a reason. But again, I feel like I've seen this game a ton of times where Stafford just is, erratic and inaccurate, and you get after him and they lose. That's possible. Ever since they won the Super Bowl, this is a below 500 team. I don't care about they're reinvigorated offensively. They're under 500. And I think potentially this could be the best version of the Rams we get all year. I think they could continue to regress. Stafford would get beat up. They start selling off parts at the deadline. My biggest fear with this team is that they tank so hard they end up getting Caleb Williams to come to LA right in his backyard. But again, mid. The definition of mid. They look like a 7-10 team. You're telling me the Cardinals can't beat a 7-10 team? Sure they can.
But the Cardinals also have the ability, if they're underprepared or ill-prepared
right,
for this passing attack, it's I mean, look at the Rams in the second half against Philly. Now, Philly's personnel is they've got legit players on defense. Their new defensive coordinator hasn't been able to deploy them nearly as well as Jonathan Gannon did. But at the end, in the second half, they go punt, downs, and that's it. That was their offensive performance in the second half. And that would be Nick Rallis if he can get close to a repeat performance of that, or even half of that. The way that Drew Petzing and Joshua Dobbs have been performing in this offense for the bulk of this season, I think it's a winnable game. There are
4 great teams in the NFL. Then there's some really shitty teams, and there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. And I don't know where you think the Cardinals lie, if they're in the bottom tier, if they're in the lower part of the middle tier, whatever. So we talked about it yesterday. I saw people have this team mid-20s in the power rankings. The Rams are another loss away. They almost blew a game to Indianapolis and Anthony Richardson. They're another loss away from being a part of the bottom tier, an afterthought this year. Like, they're not beating the Rams are not going to beat the 49ers. They're going to get smoked the second time they play the 49ers. The Rams do not have a great shelf life as the season progresses. They're old and they're untalented in a lot of places. Yeah. So again, like everybody's saying like they're not going to win. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to win or not, but I feel like we're treating them like San Francisco. Stop doing that.
Nobody's treating them like San Francisco. But you should stop saying like, well, the San Francisco is going to beat the shit out of the Rams. Like, okay, that's San Francisco. Arizona Cardinals were facing the second worst offense in the NFL last week, and they didn't really have any problem. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase got right against the Cardinals defense. Well, the Cardinals faced the worst offense in the NFL, and they surrendered 31 points in the second half. Daniel Jones, they couldn't get him off the field. So there should be like everybody's antennas should be up. They should be concerned about this. This defense needs to have a bounce back performance in some capacity. They have to.
Is that possible with the players that they have though?
It's going to have to. Like, what are you just going to go tit for tat? You're just going to go score for score?
Tit for tat. Johnny overlooking Sean McVay blowout incoming according to Jordan P. I think the McVay shines come off a little bit. Like won the Super Bowl. That's great. Loaded team.
This might be his best coaching performance to
get out of here. They're the Cardinals.
Why can't you give it like? Look, I am all about shading and crushing LA. Right?
No, get your
fraudulent fan base that barely exists. Right? They only jump on the bandwagon when
they're got a Dodger jersey on underneath his
Hell
shirt.
No! Stop spreading that crap, Johnny. But and yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean McVay is the cringe lord, but he's a damn good coach. He really is. And you can't just
LVL7. The Rams are not better than the Cowboys, who we beat. I don't know if the Cardinals are going to win. I would say, like, again, the folks in Vegas think the Rams are going to win by 6 points. So I don't know if I'd bet on the Cardinals money line today, unless you're using BetMGM and get a free 200. What I'm saying though is like they can win, they can beat the Rams. They can go into LA with Joshua Dobbs and run the football and beat the LA Rams. Like, did I ever feel like that about Cliff Kingsbury a lot? No, I thought they would get their ass out coached. I think the Cardinals have a coaching upgrade, which I think is going to make them viable in a lot of these games. That's why I'm optimistic, even still for the rest of the season, especially when you get Kyler Murray back. But the Rams, this is the most mid team I've ever seen in my life. You got a quarterback who could be retired next year, Donald who could be dealt at the deadline, Cooper Kupp's got one leg, and everybody's anointing a rookie after a month of play. My guess is everything evens out, and the Rams end up with about 6-7 wins, and they start selling off pieces. Mid-level, scummy Rams. I think the Rams are making the play. Get out of here. Get out of town with that.
Who's saying that? But
the Twitter street. We're gonna get blown out by 30 points.
Nobody's saying that on this pod. Johnny, we're here in reality. Okay, I want you to tell you we're in a safe space.
Delusional fantasy land. Let's talk about the offense. We've spent all this time, 43 minutes into this pod. Like this video, by the way. Running back situation. You got Adam Schefter that you pointed out to me. Hey, Keontae Ingram's number one on the depth chart for the Arizona Cardinals. Yet you're with Amari DiMercato, and he's basically like the number one fantasy football pickup. So tell us, give us clarity on what's happening with this.
Why did I point out the Adam Schefter thing?
Because he was just like looking for liners in the depth chart.
Because I tweeted out before Schefter the actual depth chart of the Arizona Cardinals, and Keontae Ingram was RB1. You think Adam Schefter's just sifting through the depth charts? I think Schefter stole my information.
Did I miss that? Did he quote tweet you?
Yeah, that's what he did.
Oh man, I apologize, Bo Brock. I didn't know you got down like that. You got quote tweeted by Adam Schefter today?
No, I should have. If he was a respectable reporter.
So you think Adam Schefter took what you posted and then regurgitated it in his own authentic tweet? Wow. Why didn't we leave the show with that? That's huge. Damn, regardless. Sorry, Bo. Pouring out for Bo Brock today.
Put some respect on my name on the Twitter streets. You're out here worried about what people are saying about the prediction for this game, and your boy is reporting right before he goes out on the practice field. Next thing I know, I come in from the practice field. I'm like, what's this Schefty saying? And he says exactly the same thing.
He's stealing takes like Dove. He's basically Dove the Twitter stealer, Adam Schefter.
All right, but we do have info. Like we've been asking about the running backs, the last couple of days, from Jonathan Gannon on Monday to Petzing yesterday to, Gannon again today, and the running backs themselves and Joshua Dobbs. And we heard from these guys, and this is what they all had to say. Producer Damon Dog, if we could hear what they said about the position going into week 6.
Excited for him, honestly. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to go when your number's called, and we'll get Keontae back here this week, so we'll see how he does this week. But excited for him too, and I'm ready to go.
I don't know what my role is yet, so we'll see. But, if that moment comes, I'll definitely take that moment in. But at the end of the day, you still got to play ball.
No, I still think we can run the ball well, man. Like we saw when Amari came in, stepped in, we were still able to run the ball effectively. Now we might have to be more creative, right? Because as we said, James being a 2-time Pro Bowl running back, but also one of the leaders in rushing, and really good with the ball in his hands. And so guys will have to step up to answer for that production. So it's a challenge on that room, and I'm excited to see them step up to that task, and it'll help us as well. They start running the ball effectively. It'll help our pass game as well.
There's a couple things my nerdy friend Johnny Venerable would call Easter eggs in those clips, and it's one, Jonathan Gannon saying that they believe that Keontae Ingram will be back this week, right? We'll see how he does in practice. He was on the practice field in limited capacity with the neck issue. And then the big one, Murray Dermicado saying he doesn't know what his role is after Wednesday practice. So either, he was coached to not give any information, or he's just going to remain in the role that he knows already, which is primarily third down and passing situation running back. I just don't think that you're going to see that much of an uptick in his role as far as Dermicado goes. Number one added player in fantasy today was Amari Dermicado.
Yeah, that's pretty sad if you're adding Dermicado to your fantasy team. No offense. Like that, times are tough for you.
Did you do that?
No, I added Keontae Ingram.
He added Keontae Ingram.
You know what the saddest part about that Josh Dobbs presser was? Josh is like, we're going to be fine running the football. And then he proceeded to list all of James Conner's accolades, even though, James Conner, Pro Bowl running back, and he's got all this stuff going on this year. It's like, oh, maybe we're in times are tough, man. I thought that was really interesting how he worded that. We're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But, James Conner, and then he lists all, yeah, no shit, Josh. We know he's a good player. Alex, $4.99 super chat. Don't downplay the Rams, Johnny. We did this last week. And I already read this one. My bad. Point stands, though, Alex, that I'm not downplaying the Rams. I am downplaying this situation at running back, though, because I just feel like at this point, they've made their bed with the fact that they chose not to address the position. Mm-hmm. So very similar to what happened with the quarterback situation. Like if somebody's not producing, like figure it out. Because again, we teased this entire episode, Kyler Murray's return. Like if James Conner's not healthy, like you got to have a viable run game for Kyler Murray to come back to, or it's Cliff Kingsbury's offense all over again. Everything I heard over the first month of the year was, can you just imagine Kyler Murray in this run game? Right. Well, if this run game is purely predicated on number 6, that's tough. That means it doesn't translate. I need to see the mad scientist Drew Petzing scheme up Dermicado and Keontae Ingram to look better, especially Keontae Ingram, than he has the entirety of this regime. Because if K1 comes back against Baltimore and there's no James Conner and they're teeing off on my guy, we're gonna be writing up receipts here. No, it wasn't the run game. It was maybe James Conner averaging 7.7 yards per carry before he went down. So can we table set for Kyler Murray, assuming that he does play soon?
We've seen at least on the right side of the offensive line that they can bulldoze some rush lanes, right? That what they're doing with Paris Johnson Jr. and Will Hernandez, it's enough that any kind of pedestrian type running back can find a hole and get yards and put yourself in second and third and manageable. And my expectations might be low for that just to be the bar that I'm setting for these running backs, but I'll take that. And, Dermicado already showed, little signs, especially on the drive that he scored a touchdown, found a kind of a rhythm, where he's going 9 yards, 8 yards, 11 yards. I mean, that you'll take that. You'll take that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen every down, but you do have to consistently, find holes and also not be a part of negative plays. And I think that's where the concern for Keontae Ingram, because we're a little snake bitten from how he's performed early in the season. I mean, in the Washington game, it's like every time he touched the ball, they weren't just losing a yard or two. They were losing chunk yard. They were losing 4 or 5 yards. So Drew Petzing, Keontae Ingram, Joshua Dobbs, the offensive line, everybody has to be on the same page and get Keontae Ingram geared up to show some success. And for the first time in his career, be a guy that gets about 4 yards per clip.
Yeah. They can manufacture it. Like, they're not going to have a traditional workhorse. I would imagine like the carries are, if they're not split, like 60-40. That doesn't mean they can't ride the hot hand if somebody gets going. Like DeMercado, I'll give him credit, look better as the game get on. Rhythm carries, right? Like Keontae Ingram could be the same thing. Like, you give a guy 7 to 10 carries and a half, they're going to start to pick up some confidence here. So maybe that's the plan. Hey, who can get going for us? I don't like the idea of like pulling a guy every other possession and interchanging. Like, the Cardinals clearly want a workhorse. That was James Conner. They got to figure out which one of these guys can do it next. We're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb here in a second. But first, I want to remind everybody, I mean, we got Baltimore right around the corner. Is that the game in which Kyler Murray returns to the playing field? Well, do you want to risk it or do you want a biscuit here with Game Time? Game Time, your premier ticketing app. Scored some seats for my wife and my son. Took him to his first Cardinal game last weekend. They had a blast. 2 tickets, upper bowl, but good seats, $60 the day before, plus a $4 parking pass. So you're talking sub $70 to go to an NFL game, root on your favorite team. And again, like, I think the Cardinals right now are a hot ticket, especially when K1 comes back. You want to grab some real estate for the Cardinals at State Farm Stadium using the Game Time app. All you got to do, download the Game Time app, create an account, use that bonus code PHNX. It's going to take $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. But again, create that account, put in, I did it, bonus code with my wife because I already used mine, whatever. PHNX, $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
I'm seeing there's Diamondback tickets actually available. You could probably jump in right now if you procrastinate it. Maybe you're in the downtown area. You can get yourself some NLDS Game 1 tickets. They're right there. It's right at your fingertips if you still want to get in the door, and you can find some decent deals. I think I see you can find some for $80. Game Time, promo code PHNX. Use the code, $80 to $60? Not too bad. Save yourself, get a churro dog, stuff your face.
For a pool party?
Well, pool party could be going down.
That seems
cheap.
like something PHNX needs to make happen, is renting out the pool area.
Yeah.
For all of their employees.
Is it available on Game Time? We'll have to figure out later. If your decision is maybe lower key evening, hopefully watch the pool party from your home, grab some Burrito Express. Stop by one of their many value locations. Get one of your favorite burritos. Check out what they've got going on. Burrito Express, always doing it up real nice with the burritos. Check them out. They've got the OG bean and cheese. They've got the machaca. Can't go wrong. And then, of course, if you don't want to do it tonight, get maybe a breakfast burrito in the morning. Check out that Tempe location. Always filled with Sun Devil athletes, including our guy, Jalen Conyers. They're big on community service, supporting ASU athletics and their athletes. Such delicious food. We love Burrito Express. Check them out on Twitter at Burrito EXP. Great follow, great fiery sports takes on all Valley Sports. Burrito EXP on Twitter. Check out all their Valley locations, especially that Tempe location.
We appreciate Burrito Express and what they provide. And it's good to be appreciated, right? I feel appreciated. Bo does. Does CeeDee Lamb feel appreciated as a member of the Dallas Cowboys? Well, be the judge of that. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, was basically asked about his usage, gave some vanilla answer, nothing about overwhelmingly, let's get our number one wide receiver the football, right? They were very critical of his usage potentially during the San Francisco 49er blowout. Well, then Richard Sherman went on Skip Bayless's show. I can't even remember what it's called now. First Take or First Things First or whatever. Basically said that CeeDee Lamb's not a number one receiver. So CeeDee Lamb has taken some shots this week, which is unfair because, this podcast, we're big supporters of CeeDee Lamb, not just because he's Kyler Murray's ex-teammate, because he's a damn good football player. He should have been drafted to this franchise over Isaiah Simmons. Well, it should be noted, CeeDee Lamb does not have a new contract. He's got a 5th-year option picked up. So basically playing on a 1-year deal next year, despite making a Pro Bowl last year. But he's underachieving this year because of the offense. No Kellen Moore. So that begs the question, Bo Brock. The Arizona Cardinals, assuming that they keep Kyler Murray, everything's good to go, copacetic, right? You got Hollywood Brown, he's a free agent. Would you entertain the idea of the Arizona Cardinals potentially approaching the Dallas Cowboys? CeeDee Lamb will be 25 next spring, trading for CeeDee Lamb and reuniting him with Kyler Murray. Does that do anything for you?
What would it take to get CeeDee Lamb?
I would say you would probably have to give up a 1. And you would
And then-
probably have to do it with Houston. If Houston's 1, hypothetically, is like 17, 18, 19. That's probably what you're going to have to do. Stephon Diggs, once upon a time, went to Buffalo from Minnesota for like the 20-ish pick in the draft or somewhere in the 20s, right? So, again, you're not going to trade a top 12 to 15 pick for him. But I think if the Houston pick starts to fall because, CJ Stroud's a revelation, that's what it would take, in my opinion. Would you be willing to do that?
I will pass on that opportunity.
Okay.
Just because you got to give up draft capital, high draft pick, right? That coveted Houston pick that would be a player that you could turn into a starter for 5 years before you're having to extend them.
Yep.
And then the idea that you would give up that capital and then basically immediately have to sign him to a multi-year extension for wide receiver 1 type money. I'm just going to pass on that. I would much rather see what Monti Ossenfort can cook up in the draft than going out and spending that much on a CeeDee Lamb. I like CeeDee Lamb. I don't love CeeDee Lamb. He's put up good numbers. He's put up just under 1,400 yards receiving. He's been a back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver. He's, as far as double-digit touchdowns, hasn't found the end zone that many times in a single season yet. Like, I think that he has a lot of potential that he's yet to tap into. But at the same time, I'm passing on it. It's just too pricey for me. I'm scared by the sticker price on CeeDee Lamb. I don't think it matches.
Does this change your mind?
Okay.
What if I told you that CeeDee Lamb took to Twitter, the Twitter streets, and changed Bo Brock his Twitter avatar photo to a picture of he and his guy, Hollywood Marquise Brown, number 5, Oklahoma Bros, taking all Cowboy associated paraphernalia off of his Twitter and then responding today, I retweeted it, laugh out loud, basically responding to the disrespect coming from Richard Sherman, maybe some of the fan base coming after CeeDee Lamb. Does this sweeten the pot a little bit? Now, it would be tough getting both Lamb and Brown under contract, but there's not part of you that is a little tempted to say, let's get the Oklahoma band back together and let's get these guys all in the desert, or are you still passing?
No, I'm still passing. It doesn't sweeten the pot, actually. It makes me, turns me off a little bit as far as bringing him in. Like, it's disgruntled in Dallas. They're not playing well. What's going to happen when things don't go right here? When we talk about what Monti Ossenfort's vision for this team was, and I don't think this matches up with it.
I agree. I wanted to lay out all the facts. These are the facts at hand.
You're going to be on the other side.
I'm not. Once upon a time, I would have been all for trading for CeeDee Lamb. I think now you're getting too close to a position where you have to pay him. I mean, the Hollywood Brown's having a better year than CeeDee Lamb this year. It's like, and you're just going to let Hollywood walk and then trade for CeeDee Lamb. Plus, like, Michael Wilson is the future at this position for this team right now. He plays outside. Well, Hollywood Brown plays outside. Like, does CeeDee Lamb play the majority of his time in the slot? But, like, can you pay a big-time slot receiver that kind of money? For me, it's just the timing doesn't line up. It has nothing to do with CeeDee Lamb, the player or the person. But I think that, Kyler can have a close relationship with CeeDee Lamb, but then have his teammates and win games with Michael Wilson and Hollywood Brown and maybe Rondell Moore mixed in, maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. or even Bo's boy, Brock Bowers. But I feel like CeeDee Lamb, to me, for this franchise, is just, I know they like big receivers and he would fit that build, but he reminds me kind of like Amari Cooper before he went to Dallas, just an okay player for the Raiders. And then maybe he got a little bit better after his trade. He's not as good as Justin Jefferson. He went before Justin Jefferson, but he's better than Jerry Jeudy. And then obviously what happened with Henry Ruggs was tragic, but he's just he's a 1B type of receiver. He's not a top 5 to 7 guy. He's in that next tier. And for the Cardinals, I saw somebody point out in the chat, the Cardinals are not a CeeDee Lamb away and then paying him from being competitive.
That's absolutely correct. I agree with that 100%. And don't you, I mean, as much good as there has been in CeeDee Lamb's career, and he's absolutely been, the 17th overall pick in that draft, first round wide receiver. I think he's lived up to that billing, but there's also been moments where he goes missing. Like remember the game in 2021 against Dallas? The Arizona Cardinals were struggling, and they took CeeDee Lamb out of that game plan. And I've seen it a lot, and it's happened far too often, I think, in 2023 with Dallas and, their loss to the Cardinals. I mean, there were plays where a 6th-round rookie was able to get the best of him in one-on-one matchups, and Keitrell Clark. So, he's a really good receiver. In a perfect world, if you had a roster and he was part of your receiving core, it's great. It's probably a strong receiving core. But at the same time, are you going to give up the world in draft capital and then pay him what it's going to take to pay him? I just think it's just too rich. And Monti Ossenfort's not going to be in the CeeDee Lamb business for those reasons.
No, and again, the Cardinals can make it work with, I think, the receivers that they have. Even if they don't get Marvin Harrison Jr., and if there's a scenario in which they find a common ground with Hollywood Brown, you like where he's trending in this offense. You can't dispute that. Hollywood Brown's been a good player for this team. I mean, dating back to last year even. I mean, he's contributed at a semi-high level since they acquired him. Would they like a mulligan on that and take Tyler Lindenbaum? Probably. But it's not like he's been a vegetable. I mean, that catch and run that last week for the touchdown, making people miss in the open field, you want him on your team, just like you want a CeeDee Lamb on your team. But there are very few receivers in the NFL, Brack, that are worth giving up, premium picks, especially for a team like the Cardinals who need every single pick to be able to rebuild this roster to viability, right? And CeeDee Lamb, you know what he is? He's a luxury the Arizona Cardinals just can't afford. The Cardinals are pinching pennies. They're going to the grocery store, and it's I really need Nutella, or should I just get, the essentials for my family? I really want this Pez dispenser, but you know what? Let's just get the eggs today, right? At the end of the day, that's what CeeDee Lamb is. So, but CeeDee Lamb gets brought up on the Twitter streets with this fan base, and I get the fascination of CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown, Kyler Murray. I'm not numb to that, naive to that. Here's what I will say, though. Michael Wilson has made things much easier for Cardinal fans to stomach, because this franchise, before Michael Wilson arrived, and knock on wood, he's still got to complete the season and be a trending up player, which I think he will be. This franchise could not develop receivers, right? And the guys that they did develop left, and Christian Kirk and John Brown. So I got the fascination of, let's just get all Kyler Murray's college buddies back together. We'll do that in Arizona. I think now it's let's just let Monti Ossenfort find receivers like Michael Wilson and company in the draft, and then pay them no money. And then while you're paying Kyler Murray $45 to $50 million. So I'd be a hypocrite if I came on here and said, well, you can't pay Kyler Murray, but then you also have to get CeeDee Lamb and give him an extension. Just the timing doesn't add up.
Right. Yeah. It just, when you're facing this part of the rebuild, you got to focus your draft capital on those premium positions and fill out a roster that way. And you've had some good success early on finding those wide receiver. You found a wide receiver in the 3rd round. You've got some decent guys on your roster. And then you look at the upcoming draft, and they're intriguing prospects outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. If MHJ becomes available to you, it's a slam dunk, right? You take the big 6'3" wide receiver, and we talk about it more on tomorrow's, PHNX Cardinals draft podcast. You got his teammate there in Ohio State too, who's 6'1", 205. You got a kid out of Florida State, Keon Coleman, who's 6'4". It's they're big-bodied wide receivers that Monti Ossenfort's going to do his homework on and be able to lock into potentially to a 4 to 5 year rookie contract that would look great in Cardinal white and red.
Yeah, I mean, Cardinals have so many picks, it should be illegal. And speaking of illegal, it's illegal Pete's, baby. Happy hour is going on right now. So the minute this show gets over, I want everybody check on out Illegal Pete's. They got 12 locations. Happy hour goes on from 3 to 8 every single day at all 12 locations. So not only can you get a margarita on the house with the happy hour, but you've got burrito bowls, tacos, salads, nachos. It is so much fun hanging out on the patio beers with our friends at Illegal Pete's. I love the queso. My son loves the queso. We go through bowls of them. We're at Illegal Pete's. We're watching postseason baseball. We're watching college football. It's just a great place. You want to hang out with your family, have some delicious food and drink responsibly, of course. It's Illegal Pete. It's my go-to spot this fall. It's my go-to spot over the summer, cooling off with those margs. Now it's my go-to spot this fall. patio beers. You can't beat it. Illegal Pete's the go-to spot for 28 years here in the Valley, Bo Brock.
My go-to spot for all Arizona Valley sports info, news. Of course, go PHNX.com. Howard Balzer just published a brand new article today. You got to check it out. It's a banger. Also, you've got so much going on around the Valley. You've got Jesse Freeman churning out Diamondbacks articles. You got Craig Morgan with the puck about to drop on the Coyotes season. Also, the Suns are about to tip the regular season. It's going to be here in no time. Check out what Gerald Bourguet is churning out there for PHNX Suns. It's all there. Go PHNX.com. Get full access by becoming a diehard. I mean, we talk about it. We chop it up in the chat for about an hour and a half every day. It continues. It's nonstop in the member Discord. Get access to that. Only way to do it, becoming a diehard. You get that Discord diehard access. Don't miss out on it. Go PHNX.com. The PHNX locker. Get gear like Johnny and I are wearing. He's got the Hollywood sign on Camelback Mountain. I've got just the standard PHNX flag shirt. Check it out. PHNXlocker.com. Michael Wilson. We were wondering, where the hell is Michael Wilson for 3 quarters on Sunday against the Bengals? And then Joshua Dobbs finds him for a big play to start the 4th quarter. And Josh Dobbs, I asked him about that. Like, what was the reason why we didn't see Michael Wilson? He said, you know what? I texted Michael Wilson immediately after that game, and I said, hey, man, it's unacceptable for me to just find you for the first time in the 4th quarter, and we're going to fix that. So you like to hear that Joshua Dobbs is kind of taking accountability for that, and there was immediate conversation about how that doesn't happen again.
Well, Bengals secondary is legit. Lou Anarumo is a great defensive coordinator, and so I'm sure they had a plan after seeing Michael Wilson, the damage he did against San Francisco. Like, we're going to blanket him, but I mean, you saw it. You got to force the ball to this kid. Dobbs has a perfect passer rating when he's targeting him. He's only missed on 3 attempts this year, throwing his way 15 completions at 18 or 17. That's big time. So I would not be surprised they start looking his way early and often come Sunday against the LA Rams. If you want to hang out and watch the game with your boys and maybe get some Cardinal gear in the process, check out BetMGM at the Great Lawn, the watch party this weekend. Myself, Bo Brock, Damon Dog, producer, the entire team, Britton Golden, the playmaker. Everybody's going to be hanging out. Hopefully we're celebrating an advancement into the NLCS bar Diamondbacks by then. But in the meantime, come get some great food, drink specials. And again, might have some giveaways to give out. But regardless, hang with some Cardinal fans, PHNX Cardinal faithful at BetMGM. We're going to be there back-to-back weeks starting this Sunday. Rams, Seahawks, holding it down, Bo. I can't wait.
A couple of things to look out for, too, on the YouTube channel. If you missed it, we had our own exclusive Baldy breakdown. He broke down the Joshua Dobbs pick 6. What went wrong on that play? Baldy breaks it down. I botched the full interview yesterday with Baldy. Yeah, you can blame your boy for that, but we did have Baldy on. You can see it. It's live right now on this YouTube page. Make sure you're subscribed. You like the video. You like this video. And then tomorrow, we've talked about it a little bit. We have our first PHNX Cardinals draft show. We're breaking down our first Fab 5, the 5 prospects that we're looking at that the Arizona Cardinals are going to spend. They're not 1, but 2 top 10 picks on. Right now, is it 7 and 10?
Yeah.
7 and 10. Who are they going to use? Here's some 5 prospects. They're going to be right in that area that can immediately help this Arizona Cardinals team out. We're going to talk about a name I see in the chat right now, Brock Bowers. We have a heated debate about Brock Bowers. I believe we call him the forbidden fruit of the Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh,
and yeah, we're going to get into full draft conversation because let's be realistic with things. The Cardinals have 1 win. They have 2 premium picks. And we're not going to delay any of the draft conversation any longer.
They have more first-round picks than they do wins through 5 weeks of the NFL season. That's okay. We're winning off the field with all of you here at PHNX Cardinals. Like this video. Let's get this video to 150 likes. That would be bon appetit for everybody. Drop a like. Again, love the conversation. Love the dialogue. Everybody is always welcome here. Come share your opinion. Bo and I do it every day because of all of you. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. Draft show out tomorrow. Game preview. Cardinals at LA come Friday. For Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you later.
We all silly like the mayor.